All right. So, Brainstorm has been suspended. What does suspended mean? Suspended means that Wizards of the Coast has taken away your ability to play with a magic card that you spent your resources on, but they're not giving you wild cards back for it because fuck you, that's why Magic Arena is a consumer unfriendly product. But that's never going to change. So you got to accept that if you're going to engage with it or go move on to playing something else. So, again, it is suspended. It is not banned. It is suspended because they want to screw you out of the wild cards they owe you. Anywho, let's read why it's been suspended. Ban and restricted announcement for June. We mentioned we're keeping an eye on the high play rate and perceived dominance of blue-red decks in general. Perceived dominance of blue-red decks in general. All right, hold on. I'm gonna fact check perceived dominance. Hold on 1 second. Hold, please. Uh, Dominance of blue-red decks in general. So it looks to me like this had 29, 35. We were 35% blue-red decks before you consider that there's more blue-red decks in the other. So perceived dominance mean you don't think it's dominant if it's over a third of the field. Got it. Check. All right, good. Just making sure where we're at. This here is passive aggressive and insulting. Just for in my opinion. As we watched, we saw an interesting pattern emerge. Though decks like Izzet Phoenix and Jeskai Control represented a metagame share that usually indicates a dominantly powerful deck, their win rates have been fair and healthy. Izzet Phoenix was approximately 30% of the metagame at the Strixhaven League weekend, which is a high percentage, but its win rate there was only 51.1%. So, I'm going to again point you back to this metric where we had 260 games, 260 matches, chat. And 260 matches is not enough to have a large sample size interval. But we're gonna reference just a league weekend where there was 18% people playing it. This matches our internal data, which consistently showed Izzet Phoenix and Jeskai Control have a 52 and 51% play rate in best of 3. Okay, if this is true, prove it. Show us the data. Because when you treat your customers and you hide your data from us constantly and you're not transparent with your information, I don't believe you. I don't. And that's jaded. That's jaded of me. I know. And you're welcome to take what they say at face value and believe them, but there's if you're gonna use these metrics and you're gonna justify this to us, be transparent and show us your metrics. Okay, and honestly, the reason why I don't believe this is twofold. One, they use this shit sample size to justify, oh, this is in line with our stuff. When you look at the larger sample sizes that are not in line with their stuff. So is there any mention of non-league weekends with larger sample sizes? Because the largest sample sizes we have indicate that this is not accurate. It's not. Like the Phoenix deck, other than the one weekend where Time Walk was legal, has had 57 to 60% win rates every single weekend. Also, and here's another thing, it's not explicitly said here. So this makes me wonder if this is the case. Does this 52% win rate remove mirror matches? Does it? I would assume that I would assume that it does remove mirror matches, but they also haven't explicitly said that. So I don't know. And for reference, if you don't remove mirror matches pull the win rate of a deck down towards 50% because one wins and one loses in a mirror. So these metrics remove mirror matches. So like when you cut the mirror matches out, the Is It Phoenix deck over these 260 matches had a almost 62% win rate. Yes, mirror matches pull a mirror matches when a deck has an under 50% win rate pull the win rate up, and mirror matches when the deck has an over 50% win rate pulls it down. Given these low win rates for Izzet Phoenix and Jeskai Control, in the presence of multiple other archetypes with strong records against the deck and the rest of the field, we expected the metagame share of these decks to decline over time. Though we saw some reduction, the combined metagame share among high-level players in best of three ladder steadily declined steadily from 17% in mid-June to 14% more recently. These two decks have remained the most played there, usually by a good margin. When evaluating a format, our goals are generally to create balanced, fun, diverse metagames. While decks like Izzet Phoenix and Jeskai Control are not showing win rates that threaten balance, their steadily high metagame share is certainly harming deck diversity, which in turn reduces the fun of the format. I accept this is good. This is good. They're talking about fun. Games should be fun. Talking about fun is a good thing. While we are seeing some motion to correct this, the rate of change is too gradual to quickly address the format imbalance. To improve format diversity, Brainstorm is suspended in Historic. So, and this is not only from a transparency standpoint, would I like them to be transparent so I don't have to just take bro trust me when you tell me what your internal win rates are? But let's just consider this, right? Where was it? The presence of multiple other archetypes with strong records against both of these decks and the rest of the field. What are they? And this is why there's a lot of people that don't understand deck building that think that more data makes formats worse. And if this data is accurate, let's assume Wizards is being truthful, because they could well be being truthful. This is a fantastic example why a lack of data transparency actually does the opposite of that. It hurts format diversity, because if they were transparent about the data, we could see a metagame develop where you don't need to suspend Brainstorm and other cards if this is true. But when you treat your players like houseplants and you keep them in the dark and you feed them nothing but bullshit, we don't have information to work with, chat. Like, don't treat me like crap and feed me crap. Like, give me information and let us see. There's multiple decks with strong archetypes against the listen, houseplants don't live very long in my house, okay? I got that analogy wrong, but we're gonna move on. Anywho, like if this is true, it's mushrooms. Treat them like mushrooms. Yeah, that's the one. Keep them in the dark and feed them shit. There you go. That's the reference. If this is true and they were transparent about the data, we could see a metagame develop, right? Where like, oh, look, these decks pull and are good here and they're good in other places, and then those decks can become popular, and then the metagame can change and move around naturally. But because they choose to not share information, it can't happen. And like, it's just a fantastic, great example of, if this is true, not sharing data hurts us. It hurts your game, and it hurts your players, and it means you have to do stuff like this. So I don't. One of our was the last paragraph. Sorry. While our most recent additions to Historic have been bans, such as those for Time Warp and Thassa's Oracle, those were cases where we had clear and convincing data showing us that these cards were problematic. And like, okay, like, clear and convincing data showing us those cards were really? We had clear and convincing data that Time Warp was the problem? Because like, even after the fact, I don't know anybody that thought that Time Warp was clearly a problem. Like, if you would have like lined up, asked me to make the 10 most problematic cards in Historic at the time where this was happening, like, this probably wouldn't have made the list, or like maybe it's number 10. In this case, the data is less clear, and that is why we prefer to utilize suspension. No, you prefer to utilize suspension because you don't want to give players resources that you owe them. Do the right thing, Wizards of the Coast. Give people wild cards for suspending their cards. This is 2 bans in a row where we have taken cards away from players that crafted them and not given them resources back. Stop being stingy. Give out the free pixels. Alexander, thanks for the raid. Hope you had a good stream today. We're currently ranting about the suspension list update, so we'll be playing more Magic in a moment. We will continue to monitor Historic meta closely. If it reaches a point where reintroducing Brainstorm seems safe, or if we should move to fully ban Brainstorm. Sure. I mean, like, a broken clock reaches the correct conclusion twice a day. So I am happy that the Brainstorm was suspended. I think this is pretty condescending. I think that, if their internal metrics really say this and they run counter to what's going on here, I guess, if you want to believe that, sure, I could see that being the case. Again, and honestly, I think even if this is the case, something that it highlights too is that the ladder and tournaments are just different, right? Like, something I've talked about before is the ladder metagame in any card game, not even just Magic, is always going to be more diverse than tournaments are, because the ladder is largely meaningless. A majority of the people playing on the ladder, they don't care about getting top 1200. They're playing Magic for fun. People play games for fun. They're not trying to, like, grinding with Phoenix 80 hours a week isn't something a lot of people are going to find fun. They want to build different things and try different things, and they're just chilling, like, I agree with the summary that someone gave earlier that this kind of comes across as we're banning Brainstorm because y'all wanted us to ban Brainstorm, but really you're wrong and we weren't. It feels like we weren't wrong to wait to have this happen. You all should have been okay with waiting because really we shouldn't have done this to begin with. All right. Sure. I think we covered everything. That was, I'm glad they reached the conclusion. Yes, it feels like the Pioneer inverter bans. It feels like the guys, gals, non-binary pals, it only had a 49% win rate. Why are you complaining? You should be having fun. My metrics say you should be having fun. Are you telling me my metrics are lying to me, chat? The metrics say you should be having fun, Magic players. Have more fun. The metrics are correct. Obey the metrics. Listen, change your KPIs. Your KPIs need to be different. Don't be dominated by your KPIs. Thanks for the 12 months, Will. I appreciate the entire year support. Welcome back. I have a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for the follows. We had a few follows from that raid. Allman, Tokanoob, Lurk Dog, GBR. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, we play Magic here usually like 5 or 6 hours a day or so. We play some Moto in the mornings. We play some Magic Arena in the late morning and early afternoon. We're going to get this client fired back up here, play some Standard 22 here for a bit.